The balloon spun slowly in lazy circles, caught in the draft from the ceiling fan. It was blue, the color we had both picked. Safer than pink, gentler than yellow. Below it, the cake had already been sliced. Crumbs lingered like leftovers from a thought, scattered across flimsy plastic plates. Our son giggled. Bits of frosting smeared through his hair, laughing at nothing in particular. I stood nearby, wearing a smile that didn't quite fit, pretending I was still part of the moment. I said it offhandedly, almost as a joke. "Can't wait for the family dinner tomorrow." Her sister blinked. "Wait, you know." She wasn't being mean, just surprised, like someone realizing the dog missed the sound of the dinner bell. My mother-in-law leaned in, showing me photos on her phone. Bright faces, lifted glasses, celebration frozen in frames. A cake nearly identical to ours at center stage, blue frosting and all. I felt something inside me shift, like someone dragging heavy furniture across the floorboards of a house I no longer lived in. My wife leaned closer and said softly, "Maybe take the hint next time." That's when I turned, walked to the door, and grabbed my jacket. Inside the pocket, folded with care like a flag after a burial, was the letter. I handed it to her, without meeting her eyes. The silence in the car wasn't angry. It wasn't even cold. It was final, like a film reel still spinning long after credits had rolled. I drove to a worn-down motel off Route 9, the one with a broken neon sign, and a vending machine that only took quarters. The key clicked into the lock with the weight of a full stop. Inside, the air smelled of bleach and old decisions. I sat on the edge of the bed, still wearing my party clothes. On the sleeve of my shirt, my son's tiny fingerprints, stained with blue icing, looked like bruises. She used to run her fingers through my hair in the mornings, just before waking me. Told me I looked peaceful when I slept. Said it like she was offering a compliment. As if I didn't know how tightly I clenched my jaw every night. Things didn't collapse in a dramatic moment. It happened like rising water in a sealed room. Slowly. First it was unanswered messages. Then quiet corrections in front of company. New passwords. Long phone calls taken in parked cars. I tried to believe the best. Love does that. It hands out rope long after it should have tied off the ends. But I had known. Not just about the dinner, about everything. The way you can sense a tree is going to fall, even if it hasn't leaned yet. At the motel, I made coffee in the tiny machine on the counter. It tasted like burnt paper and regret. I drank it anyway. The letter was only a page. I had rewritten it 6 times. There was no blame, just truth. A trust fund for our son. My share of the house signed away. No conditions, no games, just space. I didn't want the furniture. I didn't want the apologies she might someday offer. I wanted a clean break. I wanted to be the kind of man my son wouldn't have to recover from. There was a moment months back I couldn't forget. We were in the kitchen. She was on the phone, laughing in this bright, careless way I hadn't heard in a long time. When she hung up, I asked who it was. She said it was work. But her smile lingered too long, and it wasn't meant for me. I remember holding a dish towel, realizing I was drying a plate that was already clean. I mailed the signed documents the next morning. No return address, just her name on the envelope, written carefully like the last line of a book. She would get them Tuesday. I didn't care what she'd say, or if she'd cry. I wasn't trying to hurt her. That was the difference. I just wasn't trying to protect her anymore either. The motel offered discounts for long stays. I booked a week, then another. Found a part-time job at a hardware store nearby. Quiet work, hands-on. Repairing things felt like learning how to breathe again. I bought a second-hand French press. Real coffee. Started running in the mornings. No music, just the sound of breath, gravel, and sunrise. Every week, I sent a letter to my son. He was too young to read them. Still, I wrote little stories, memories, a map for someday when he might have questions. I saw her once in the grocery store. She didn't see me. Her cart held pre-cut fruit and wine. She looked the same, maybe a little more tired. I didn't feel hate or grief, just distance. She was still the mother of my child, a woman I once loved, but she wasn't home anymore. It's quiet here. The mornings move gently. Birds chirp. Toast browns. Steam rises from a chipped coffee mug. There's no noise unless I welcome it. No pretending. And when I think of my son, I don't dwell on what I lost. I think of the day he'll come visit, when I'll show him the photos, just the ones of him and me, and tell him the truth, gently and without anger, that sometimes love doesn't end in flames. Sometimes it ends with a door closing softly. And that walking away isn't weakness. It's finally listening to your own voice again.